Hello, how's everybody doing today? All right, I'm over here in Cali, Colombia, just waking up to a nice, woke up about an hour ago to a nice glass of raw milk. All right, yeah, today's video, I wanna speak about certain things. I wanna speak about, first of all, is religious people, right? And um, and why do people get offended when you basically debunk them? You know, even if it has to do with religion, or because people are so religious nowadays, and it's funny. And like, everything's so religious. Like, people are just like so religious. Even like when it has to do with like dieting, like even these vegans, it's like a sort of religion. And even, well, actually I want to speak about something because actually, I've spoken about this before, how like how I had drug problems in the past. And so I've been going, like, I've gone to Narcotics Anonymous for the past 6 years, because I've been clean for 6 years. I've been clean from drug use. So and I got to a point where I was really like into Narcotics Anonymous, going to meetings and being a server, and all that, like being a chairman at meetings and all that stuff. And it helped me, like, and it helped me to stay clean. But, now that I know like the truth about many things, so it's like it doesn't. So the thing that happened was, I was in a meeting yesterday, and then it was my turn to like share. How in NA meetings, like, everybody, or if they write your name on a book, you have like 7 minutes to go in a chair, and share your thoughts. So I sat on a chair and I shared my thoughts. And it's like, and every time I share now, like, I don't, like, I speak my mind. And it's funny how people always like, religious people always get offended. Like, I'm constantly fighting with vegans on because they're so religious with their like religious beliefs, regarding vegetables and animals and all this stuff. And even, like, sometimes I argue with like the weed smoking people, because they're religious too. They're like, oh yes, weed helps so many people, and so they get religious also. And I'm always fighting with them. And it's like, now, even like like yesterday, I was at a meeting, and I like literally almost got into a fist fight with an NA member, because I'm sitting on my at my on a chair, right, at the meeting, sharing my thoughts, like, to the group. So I'm speaking, and also I'm gonna speak another point, which is God, right? Like, people like God, and how, in Narcotics Anonymous, like, they speak a lot about God. Like, if you take a look at the 12 steps, which is like, the 12 steps are like how to, the basically like the, the, I guess the whole program of Narcotics Anonymous revolves around the 12 steps. And and I say this too, like, I'm not saying it's bad. Like, it actually works. Like, this helped me. Like, I had to get a sponsor. I had to go to meetings. I had to be a chairman at meetings. I've gone to conventions. Like, I actually have a lot of love for Narcotics Anonymous, because this helped me, like, remain clean. And I'll get into that subject too, of like why people. I'll do a separate video on why people use drugs. Is because they need to fulfill that like emptiness, because and it has to do with dieting also. So it's a long story, but as I was saying, regarding like these religious people and God, like, God really isn't yeah, like, God doesn't exist, to be honest. God was made to so people can have fear, like, mainly to dominate people. You know how they try to scare you, like, oh, if you do this, then God's gonna punish you, and He's gonna be mad at you, and you have to, it's like, it's like this stupid character that was invented basically for people to live in fear and to have basically to be like to have like shame on themselves. Like it doesn't like this is a man-made story that they try to make people believe. And it's funny how I've always tried to like connect with God, and and that's another like long subject, with spirituality and all that. And some of it might make sense, but the reality is that there is like God doesn't exist. Like, has anybody ever seen God? Like, have you ever spoke to God? And it's funny, and you ask people these questions, they're like, oh no, like, I was talking to this girl yesterday, and she was like, oh, I've never seen him, but I feel God. You can feel him. And it's like, oh really? And it's like people even like hallucinate sometimes. Like, oh, like it's crazy. And like I said, it all basically goes down to dieting. Like, if people actually ate right, they wouldn't, like, people actually hallucinate like nowadays, and it's like hormonal deficiencies, and it's like it all comes down to eating. Like it's crazy because it really does come down to dieting. Like, I used to believe in so many like crazy things that I could sit here all day and talk about like the stuff I used to believe when I was like on a mainstream diet that like had like everyone else. Like, and it's all like it's just like it's false. Like everything, like none of that, like these, oh my god, like so anywho, so I wanted to speak about the religious people, right? And how whenever you debunk them, they get offended. And it's like why would you, if you get mad about what someone else is saying, it's because obviously you don't, like, say, if you get mad, it's because it hurts. And and why would it, if, let's say whatever I was saying, right? Let's say it wasn't true. Like, why would it hurt you? Why would you get offended by something? Like, these people on Facebook, they're always like offending me, right? They're always trying to like offend me. They're like, oh, you're stupid. They're like, oh, you're mentally ill. And they're like coming up with, you're calling me like all sorts of names and like trying to like, and I'm always like, okay, like, so tell me why. Or a lot of times they're like trying to justify veganism, and I'm like, all right, tell me your reasons. And I always debunk them. I'm like, oh no, like, even yesterday I was with this girl that she was saying that 50% of the animals at that were raised for food, that half of them died like before they could even make it to the slaughterhouse. And it wasn't even half, it was like 9%. So it's things like this. And she's like, oh, you idiotic meat eater. She's like, oh, these animals, like half of them die, like, don't you? And I'm like, what? I'm like, you're lying. I'm like, listen here, vegan friend, like, what you're saying is false. So it's like these type of things, and people actually get really like pissed whenever whenever I debunk them on just everything that we've been meant to believe, which is like God, religion, fuck, even like food choices. Like, it's just everything. Like it's crazy because honestly everything is false. Like, everything that they tell us is a lie. Like, basically, I always use the 90% because it is like just everything is false. So anywho, I wanted to do this video because yesterday, man, like I literally almost got into a fist fight. And I was sitting at my sharing my thoughts at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. And I always say it too. I'm like, I respect Narcotics Anonymous because, it helped me stay clean. But all these, these steps and all these stuff, like these things are man-made. Like, like this is going to help you stay clean. But Narcotics Anonymous is not a lifestyle. It can help you, like and I always say this, and I push it. Like, if you have drug problems, go to any meetings, like, that's gonna help you, and do the steps, do all the things that they tell you, because this is gonna help you recover. It's gonna help you at least not do drugs, which is the main problem. But Narcotics Anonymous is not going to. It's not a lifestyle. Like, none of these things are like religions are false. Like, basically, if you talk about lifestyle, a lifestyle would be like basically to do what you were meant to do, which is, and it's like we were meant to eat raw meat and just like enjoy life. That's a lifestyle. All other lifestyles are fasting too, because I also do a lot of fasting, and fasting is great because because since we're so sick that fuck like like we're so sick that if we stop eating, we're actually gonna heal ourselves. So it's like it's kind of like if a person wants to have optimal health, they would have to like fast their ass off to to get their health better, and then just eat raw meat, and then after that basically just enjoy life. And that's all it is. Like all these other things are just rationalizations from men, like they're trying to tell you like, oh, the 10 commandments, and you have to do this, and you have to believe in God, and these are all man-made things. Like you don't have to do anything. Like we were basically just meant to basically just eat raw meat, which is when we gotta feed ourselves, and we gotta feed ourselves in a nutritious way. So, and what's the most nutritious diet for us is raw meat, or raw products from the animal kingdom. And then in terms of life, we just have to enjoy life and be happy, and that's basically all it comes down to. So yeah, all right, thank you for watching. That was my video for today.